Blessings, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Dane, your host. Hope you're doing well wherever you may find yourselves. And welcome to another installment in my little series where I count down my top 20 favorite album runs of all time. This is number 17. And before we get started, in case you're new to this series, that the big parameter for this to make the cut of these wonderful 20 album runs is that you must have a minimum of 6 albums in said run. Minimum. You can have more. Today's band is Queen, so let's get started. Right off the bat, you get the song Keep Yourself Alive, which was not a song that made it into my favorite 30 or 35 Queen songs of all time, but it would definitely be in my top 40, top 50. As much as I love the song, it just didn't go in those. It's just below those 30 or 35. But that doesn't mean it's not a wonderful song. It is a wonderful song. It is great. And this is not the first Queen song I've heard. I wish it was. Because can you imagine putting this song on for the first time? This album for the first time. It's the only album at the time. And you right off the bat, Brian May gives you his eclectic sound. He doesn't wait around. He doesn't dilly-dally. He doesn't wait a few songs in. He doesn't wait to another album, or for another album, He gives you, hey, this is the expected tone you're going to hear from my guitar a lot of the time. And that's what makes the song wonderful. It's what makes Queen wonderful in so many ways. Great song. Next you get, it's groundbreaking. Next you get because of that tone. Next you get Doing All Right, which I think is a wonderful song. I don't think enough people talk about this. I once had a playlist called Queen Doing All Right, and this was the song that started the playlist off in my iTunes, which I still have. The program iTunes, not the playlist. But it's a light and shade song. I love the lyrics. Gotta get away from here. I gotta get out of here, that kind of thing. We can relate to that. Gotta hide away, actually, is the lyrics. And like so many Queen songs, it is a unique song. It's kind of a double-edged sword with Queen. When you're new to an album, when they're first coming out, you didn't know what you were going to get, did you? Because there's all kinds of stuff. There's hard rock. There's light and shade songs. There's just the piano type singer-songwriter stuff. You get the camp and the vaudeville, and I talk about that stuff. Or I've talked about that before. Not much of that do I like. You get the lounge act kind of stuff, where you envision a smoky bar kind of thing, and the piano with the spotlight over it. But there's a lot of wonderful songs where the band surprises you, and they go in a direction. This is one of them, Doing All Right. And it's wonderful to put on something like this and the other 5 I'm going to show you, and revisit, a song that or an album rather, that people would call uneven because it's all over the place, and yet like Led Zeppelin 4, right? But it works. So Doing All Right is just a wonderful surprise for me the first time I heard it, and it's still a wonderful surprise today, even though I've heard it before, if you can grasp onto that paradox. Next is Great King Rat and My Fairy King. So we're delving into progressive waters here. These 2 songs would fit right on Queen 2, which is even more progressive. This album is not a prog rock album, but I think Queen 2 is very close to being one because of the music and the lyrics and the tone and the vibe and what the band is going after. If it's not a concept album, it's very close to being one. And you get a hint of that here with these 2 wonderful songs, Great King Rat and My Fairy King. Think of Aesop's Fables or mythology, fairy tales in general, just, Queen dealing with the theme or motif of kings and queens and mythological talking animals and that kind of thing. So, all right, next is Liar, perhaps my favorite song on the album. It kind of, I don't want to say punches you in the face, but it's very theatrical in a good way. It's got kind of an up and down feel to it. And it has almost a vaudeville flair to it, but it's more rock and roll to me than anything. It has a flair of that, but not a whole lot. And a little bit of that I don't mind. It doesn't make me want to do this kind of thing, and I hate that. So Liar is a great song. Next is The Night Comes Down. And Again, we have Freddie showcasing his beautiful voice. This song is all about Freddie. You have an acoustic intro and some little bit of electric guitar near the end, but everything else in between is just wonderful, beautiful vocals from Freddie. Modern Times Rock and Roll, we got Taylor on vocals. Like the first song, they don't wait around to let you know, hey, Taylor's going to sing on our albums too. And this is a great song. It's a wonderful, cliched type style rock and roll, but it's a cliche, but it works. It's a cliche, but it works. Next is the wonderful Son and Daughter. A bit more in the heavier waters for the band, sort of. I think it's not heavy metal, of course. It's bordering on hard rock, I guess you could say. I like it. I think it's probably my second favorite song on the album. Then the often neglected song, Jesus. I think the song's fabulous. And not because I'm religious, just because I think overall the structure, the orchestration, the spirit of the song, the heart, strength, energy, soul, spirit in the song just works. And then Seven Seas of Rhye, which ends the album. It's incomplete in a way. If you're a Queen fan, you know that story because it pops up on here too. It's supposed to segue between the two albums. But regardless, this is a wonderful debut. Next, we have Queen 2. As I said, more of a progressive album than the first. You get the wonderful brief minute and change instrumental that is essentially a prologue or a lead-in to the wonderful Father to Son. And I think that Father to Son sometimes is a companion piece to Son and Daughter, but I'm not sure. It just makes you think, I guess, because of the family names and titles. But Father to Son is wonderful. It's got its heavy moments, right? This is definitely a hard rock tune, and the band is just crazy good here. Next is White Queen, As It Began. This is a beautiful song dealing with the chess theme or motif, because you have a song later, as you know, called, is it on here? Better be. Or I'm crazy. The March of the Black Queen. I'm looking for Black Queen at the beginning of the song title. So you have that chess motif, perhaps Alice in Wonderland thing, deck of cards, whatever. So it works really cool to have that. And of the two, I like March of the Black Queen better, but they're both fabulous songs. Someday, One Day, I think, is one of those songs that often, like the Jesus on the other album, people don't talk about enough, but I think it's just fabulous. The Loser in the End, same way. One of those songs that surprise you. It's not, what you know and love necessarily to be what you expect to be Queen, and yet it's a wonderful song. And then you get more of what you get on here with Ogre Battle, the fairy tale, the Dungeons and Dragons, the monsters and demons and angels or whatever, the fantasy stuff, right, with Ogre Battle, companion piece to Great King Rat and My Fairy King, which would fit really good, as I said before, on Queen 2, or vice versa for that matter. Then you get the medieval slash Renaissance type song in the Fairy Feller's Master Stroke, which I think is great. Again, more fantasy, progressive rock motifs and themes and that kind of thing. Then you get Nevermore, which I haven't looked at the lyrics in ages. I think is an homage to Edgar Allan Poe. Don't quote me on that, but this is my least favorite song on the album, but it is a good song. March of the Black Queen, as I said, is a wonderful song. I want to say it's this song or Father to Son, which are my two favorite. Most days it's Father to Son. Funny How Love Is, underrated song, I think. And then you get a better version of Seven Seas of Rhye. It would have been better, I think, if they put it at the beginning to connect the two albums. Sorry about that. I had to turn that off again. I do that sometimes. All right. Next is my favorite album by the band, and it's the third album, Sheer Heart Attack. And this is one of those albums like, say, Rush's Moving Pictures or the Rolling Stones' Exile on Main Street, or pick, the magnum opus of one of the bands you have that are near and dear to your heart that you just love, that, they were not only firing on all cylinders for this album, but then some, right? And rarely does lightning strike twice. Sometimes it does in music. Queen is one of those bands, or close to doing that. But Brighton Rock is very similar to the first song on the first album because it hits you over the head with some heavy, crunchy guitar work from May. And then you get the wonderful, beautiful voice of Freddie in Killer Queen, one of the hits off the album. I had this as a 45 growing up as a kid. My introduction to Queen was early, 8 or 9 years old, around the same time I was into Kiss. Then you get the wonderful Tenement Funster with Taylor back on vocals. And then it's starting with Tenement Fuster, then Flick of the Wrist, then Lily of the Valley, then Now I'm Here, where you have this suite, if you will, because all these 4 songs, perhaps 5 within the Lap of the Gods, all connect. There are no stops. They all bleed into one another. And I'm not the biggest fan of In the Lap of the Gods. I do like the reprise, though. But that suite is just amazing, and there's some wonderful, beautiful melodies here. There's moments of heaviness from May's guitar. Tenement Fuster with Taylor's vocals are just goosebumps. See that? Yeah. Then you get Stone Cold Crazy, which Metallica covered. That comes after In the Lap of the Gods. It's a good song. I like the heavy riffage from Queen. Perhaps this is the beginning of thrash metal. Dear Friends, just a minute and change. It's a quiet, not a quiet, but it's a segue of sorts between Stone Cold Crazy and Misfire, which is also less than 2 minutes. Segue is even not the right word. It's just a short companion piece. I don't want to call it filler because I do like it. Misfire is probably the weakest song on the album after In the Lap of the Gods. It's okay. I take that back. I forget every time. Bring Back That Leroy Brown is my least favorite song on the album. It's that vaudeville camp stuff that I don't like at all. And then She Makes Me Stormtrooper in Stilettos. It's an okay song, I guess. I'm not sure, how I feel about it, if I'm going to be honest, and I want to be honest. Then you get In the Lap of the Gods, number 13, Revisited, which is, I think, phenomenal because you don't have Freddie singing in that, fake or pseudo baritone, false baritone. It's back to the voice of Freddie that we know and love, the beautiful voice. And then you get a bonus version of Stone Cold Crazy, which isn't on every version of this. So this is my favorite album, but it's not perfect because there's a few songs, as I said, that I'm just not that much in love with. But this is, I think, their best album. And part of it has to do with that suite, again, from Tenement Fuster through and including In the Lap of the Gods, or at least Now I'm Here, which is a fabulous song. Yeah, great song. All right, next, as you know, their White Album. Companion albums, perhaps. Always think about that. I think I did a video on that. So, A Night at the Opera, Death on Two Legs, dedicated to... You may know the story about the manager who screwed them over. He's Death on Two Legs. Can't remember his name. Can never remember that. Heavy song in many ways. There's a video for it, right? Great song. Lazing on a Sunday afternoon. That's exactly what the song makes you want to do. It's a perfect song for just being lazy. I did that on Sunday myself. Then you get another Roger Taylor song, I'm in Love with My Car. It's fabulous. It's not as good as Tenement Fuster, but it's close. I like it a lot. You're My Best Friend, one of the hits off this album. The song is one of the few songs that have gotten old for me. I don't listen to it anymore. 39 is a wonderful surprise. We have May on vocals. It's a nice acoustic number, very chilling in the way that it gives you goosebumps listening to it. Just if there was only a few more songs with May on vocals. Sweet Lady's got some heaviness to it. I love it. Seaside Rendezvous, I think, doesn't get enough love. The Prophet song is just amazing. Never get old. The song never gets old. I think there are people I talk to never bring this up for some reason when we talk about Queen, and when I mention it, they're just kind of like, huh, to each his own. I think it's fabulous. Love of My Life's okay. Good Company's okay. And then you have the wonderful Bohemian Rhapsody. Fabulous, my favorite Queen song of all time. And then you get God Save the Queen. It's an okay song. I get it, though. They're Queen, right? Okay. Next is the companion album, A Day at the Races. One of my favorite songs on here, Tie Your Mother Down. It's heavy. You Take My Breath Away. Can do without that lounge act, piano-style lounge act, smoky bar kind of thing. Long Away I like. The Millionaire Waltz, I think, is one of those songs that people seem to not gravitate to, but correct me if I'm wrong. You and I is good. Somebody to Love is fabulous. This was also not in my top 30, 35, but it is a good song. Would definitely make my top 50. Some elements of it, perhaps just the cadence and vocal phrasing of Freddie, has a touch of that Bohemian Rhapsody to it, but not entirely. White Man, again, criticizing what our government did to the natives back in the day, and when Andrew Jackson was president, kind of thing. Great song, heavy in a certain way, but not heavy. Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy, I cannot stand. Too Camp, Too Vaudeville, just not my cup of tea. Drowse, I think, is an okay song, not great. And surprisingly, Tio Toriate, Let Us Cling Together, is a song as a child that I did not like at all. But boy, getting older, I think it's fabulous. Pretty cool album. Then comes my second favorite Queen album of all time, News of the World. Now, I'll just admit it, I don't ever listen to We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions that much. Rarely do I listen to them, is what I mean. Of the two, I like We Are the Champions the most because, I like the guitar solo on We Will Rock You. But let's face it, it's a football song or a sports song, or it's become that, unfortunately. We Are the Champions as well, but, that opening stanza, if you will, from Freddie, I paid my dues time after time, that's beautiful. I love that. The heavy song is next, their heaviest song perhaps. Got a little combination of punk and thrash metal thrown in for good measure here with Sheer Heart Attack, and it's wonderful also because Freddie and Taylor both sing on this track. They share the vocals, they take turns. Then the marvelous All Dead, All Dead. What beautiful vocal phrasing from Freddie. Spread Your Wings. When I did my top 35 or whatever favorite Queen songs, someone had commented how they love the song, and boy, they're absolutely right. And this song would definitely be in my top 50 or top 40. Spread Your Wings, starts over with Johnny. Johnny was a, whatever. Great intro, great song. Sad, but a good song. Fight from the Inside, we got Taylor back on vocals. Hey You Boy, Hey You. Just his vocal phrasing is just, I love it. Great song. Of course, I didn't sing that right. Get Down, Make Love. I used to not like the song when I first had this on vinyl as a young boy. That my mom gave this to me, I think for Christmas for my birthday, or she wanted off the radio. But then I realized, I just began to like it at some point. One day it comes on the radio, and then when the heavy part comes in, when he says, every time I get up, that's the best part of the song. The kind of opening part is kind of doesn't do much, but it gets better as the song goes on. And of course, Nine Inch Nails did it too. Sleeping on the Sidewalk, that's a cool song. I like it. Roger Taylor again. Who Needs You is, I think, an okay song. It's not great. And then you get the fabulous It's Late. Man, what a great song. You got the drum flourish near the end. Wish it was a full solo. The whole band is amazing here. Freddie's vocals are just fabulous. It's late, but not too late. Perhaps thematically rich, something thematically rich going on here. And then you get My Melancholy Blues, which is that lounge act type songs that I don't like from the band. And if you have this version, there's a bonus version remix of We Will Rock You by remixed Ruined by Rick Rubin, 1977. So there you have it, folks. My 17th favorite album run of all time. Only 6 albums, but this is a pretty damn cool run, despite some songs in here that I don't like. So tell me what you think about this run. Do you like it? Is it okay? Do you like Queen? Do you not? Do you think they're one of the greatest albums of? Do you think these are some of the greatest albums of all time? That kind of thing, you know. I love it when you guys and ladies share. Take care. See you around next time. Bye now.